Hello and welcome to the Telegraph Studios. I'm Alistair Greener. Now, I've been looking back at last year and looking at all the businesses that went bankrupt in 2015, including the big clothing giant American Apparel. Now, many experts are suggesting that implementing continuous improvement may have actually helped those failing organisations. So, to help me understand what that actually means and its implications, I'm joined by Keith Stagner of T-Impact. Good morning.
Morning.
Let's say we have a business case and we put process automation in place as well. How do we build in sustainability?
All organizations, regardless of their size or their level of maturity, are battling inconsistency. And they battle inconsistency by putting a control system in place. When we talk about inconsistency, a process spans many organizations, and within that, you're going to have various people in different job roles. There could be tens, maybe hundreds of people involved in this. And within each of these organizations, people are coming and going as people join and leave the firm. And people are quite clever. They find ways of working around shortcuts to bypass, make their job a little bit easier, without always understanding the impacts it might have on somebody downstream, where it may create 10, 20 times as much work for a number of people downstream. So that kind of inconsistency, you've got two ways of addressing it. The first is you put in a control system comprised of a layer, or maybe several layers, of middle managers. They check everything, they control everything, they distribute and prioritize work, and they measure the results, and they report up to senior managers. They say, here's my objective, here's the way I performed, am I okay or not? Very expensive, very traditional way, but there's a better way. A better way is you put in a control system which is comprised of automation, and automation replaces that layer, freeing those managers up to think about ways they can actually improve the system.
So where does continuous improvement fit into all this?
Well, continuous improvement is both a culture and approach. So if you imagine those middle managers who spent all their time with the drudgery of checking and tracking, et cetera, we freed those guys up now. So now we need to get them to think in a different way. Quite often, they're the most senior individuals within the team. They're the specialists. And we want those guys now thinking about, how can I actually improve what my team is, how my team performs? So they start coming up with ideas for improvement and for making things better. And where we get involved is we help pull this together across the end-to-end process and define the change will then feed back into your control system.
The challenge is that change is something that's often resisted, and even if I take it on board and my senior management take it on board, what about the teams below them?
That's a really good question. It's one of the most important aspects of the work that we do. People aren't resistant to change because people go to college, people get married, people have children. Those are all major changes, and they do that willingly. What people don't like is when they don't understand the need for change, and it feels forced upon them. They don't have a choice. So it's really important to involve people in the understanding of what we're trying to achieve and keep them involved in understanding the need and what they are in control of. Now, they don't have a choice whether the organization is going to change or not, but they can certainly feel like they contribute to it and they can be a participant to it rather than a victim of change.
So we have sustainability, which I presume means long-term planning.
That's right.
And with long-term planning, you're obviously going to have to be looking at long-term budgets.
That's right. When we put this in place, we reduced your operating costs by 40 to 60%. So you want to plan for the long term because you're locking those savings in. And we also have the opportunity to then, from that baseline, gather more improvements.
I mean, that seems quite a big process and a lot of things involved there. How long does this actually take? And how do you go about scheduling it?
Well, keep in mind, we've got the framework in place, the control systems there. So the process of identifying improvements is actually quite quick because all the information is there available at your fingertips. You can extract the information. It usually takes about a week to do the analysis and to identify the improvements. We then prepare a design document to give across to your support team who would automate the solutions, and we can oversee that and stay on to ensure that you actually get those benefits.
So who's the best person in my organization to supervise all this?
It's the person who's responsible for the cost and the quality of the process.
Well, it's been really interesting. Thank you so much for clarifying what continuous improvement is all about. Keith Stagner from T-Impact, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Alistair.